What's the most popular dinosaur? Is it the Tyrannosaurus Rex? Well, according to a survey in 2020, that's not the case. A whopping 41% of people voted for the same dinosaur, so which one was it? It was the adorable baby dinosaur, that's right. The cuteness of baby dinosaurs is irresistible. Who could say no to these faces? And you can see why scientists love studying dinosaurs so much. It's because there's always something new to discover, like how they reproduced or how they sounded. And sometimes we find out how big they really were. Take the Argentinosaurus, for example. This massive plant-eating dinosaur was once thought to be around 115 feet long, but recent estimates suggest it was actually closer to a mind-boggling 131 feet. That's over 3 school buses, but this isn't the largest dinosaur ever. In 2020, researchers estimated that the maximum size for an Argentinosaurus could reach 148 feet. That's more than for school buses, but how do scientists get such different results when they measure the same dinosaur? Well, it all has to do with the fossil record. Fossils are the preserved remains of ancient organisms, and they're the only direct evidence we have of dinosaurs. But we don't always find complete skeletons. Sometimes we only find a few bone fragments. And when we put together the incomplete fossil record, we end up with a pretty fragmented picture of what dinosaurs looked like. Take the Maiasaura, for example. This horned dinosaur was discovered in 2014 in the genus Boreopelta markmicheli. The fossils found so far consist of a few neck vertebrae, some ribs, and a shoulder blade. And based on this limited evidence, scientists have been unable to determine how long it was or even what it looked like. And this is just one of many dinosaurs whose appearance is still a complete mystery. We don't even know what the Stegosaurus looked like, even though it's one of the most famous dinosaurs out there. For the longest time, we didn't have a skull to work with, so artists had to take a stab in the dark when depicting what it might have looked like. All that changed in 2020 when a nearly complete skull was found in Colorado. Now we have a much better idea of what this herbivore looked like, but there's still so much we don't know. For example, we don't know exactly what color it was or whether it had feathers. And that's not surprising given how much time has passed since it roamed the Earth. Dinosaurs first appeared during the Triassic period around 230 million years ago and dominated the Earth for over 165 million years. They went extinct at the end of the Cretaceous period around 66 million years ago. That's a lot of time for things to change. The Maiasaura, for example, lived around 76 million years ago. And by then, birds had already appeared on the scene. In fact, birds are considered to be the direct descendants of certain groups of theropod dinosaurs. This means that instead of asking which dinosaur came first, the chicken or the egg, we should be asking which dinosaur came first, the bird or the egg. The answer, by the way, is the egg. So if birds evolved from dinosaurs, does that mean the T-Rex was a distant relative of the pigeon? Actually, yes, kind of, but not all dinosaurs were created equal. Some were more prone to going extinct than others. Take the aforementioned Argentinosaurus, for example. This massive dinosaur required a ton of food to survive. In fact, it probably ate between 20,000 and 40,000 pounds of plants each year. But it also laid a pretty massive egg, around 12 inches long. This means that even if most of the eggs failed to hatch, it wasn't a huge waste of resources. In other words, the Argentinosaurus had a pretty good shot at surviving in a changing environment. But for many other dinosaurs, it wasn't so easy. Take the Ankylosaurus, for example. This dinosaur was covered in armor, which made it pretty vulnerable to predators. But its biggest downfall may have been its size. It was tiny, only around 6 feet long, which meant it needed a lot of food to meet its energy needs. So the Ankylosaurus likely went extinct because it was too small to survive, not because it was too big or too slow or too ugly. And this brings us back to the asteroid that killed the dinosaurs. Asteroids are rocky bodies left over from the formation of the solar system. They range in size from Vesta, which is 329 miles across, to those that are only a few feet across. And they pose a serious threat to life on Earth. Throughout history, asteroids have caused mass extinctions, including the one that killed the dinosaurs. But they've also kick-started evolution. When an asteroid 5 miles wide slammed into the Yucatan Peninsula, it gave rise to the mammals. So while asteroids can spell disaster for some species, they can also pave the way for others.